We live in the era of political correctness, so everyone is beautiful. Yeah, a likely story. Women might come up with that narrative, but why would they settle for a man with a few extra pounds, no real skills, and flat out nothing they want? This kind of man ain't getting no chicks. However, average-looking women can easily get a whole bunch of dudes. Thankfully, this psychologist debunks the delusion of modern women.
Everyone is born already basically just beautiful, so I don't think there's a reason to rate people and bring them down, or I don't like the bringing down aspect of it.
Well, I don't think it necessarily brings people down, but
I feel like it could.
It could.
Yeah.
I agree with you, actually. I think that everybody can be beautiful, but I think it would be naive to say that we're all equally attractive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Great.
The attractive aspect.
So I think what we're getting into is sexual marketplace value. So I have some interesting takes on this. Maybe I can share them at this point. So I think that there's a few different ways that we can approach this, and I think it's generally done with not a lot of nuance. I think that everybody kind of has what I call a normalized sexual marketplace value, which is sort of like, according to the standards of the culture in which you live, how well do you measure up on the most important dimensions to the opposite sex? So a number of the things that you've brought up today are like height. This guy led with his socioeconomic status. He makes $200,000 a year. So these are things that I think would be on normalized sexual marketplace value for men. For women, it would be their physical appearance, their age, things like that. But no one really knows what their sexual marketplace value is, because all transactions are based on perceived sexual marketplace value. Like, I got a thing for cute nerds. That's my thing. And that's not necessarily what the culture tells me women are supposed to look like in terms of their archetypal beauty. But that's something that's really interesting and attractive to me. And you never really know until you engage a person how they perceive you in terms of your general attractiveness. Just because you don't accord with the socialized, normalized sexual marketplace value doesn't mean that you can't be highly attractive. Or conversely, just because you are 6'4" and you make a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be very attractive to certain women, right?
Yeah.
But the kicker is that you really only know your sexual marketplace value when you get into a relationship. So it's like, I knew somebody that I was very close to. She was an artist, and she had never sold a painting before. And she started by offering her paintings for $100,000, which, God bless her, I love the courage with that, but it just wasn't really realistic that someone was going to buy a piece of art for $100,000 from an unknown artist. It was only when she began to bring down that price that we got to see what that painting was actually worth. And that only occurred because somebody was willing to pay X amount for it. Until then, the actual price or the value of that painting was kind of like just pure potential. We only really realize worth in the moment of transaction, which can only occur between two individuals.
So you're saying, okay, so then let's say the girl gets into a relationship, then how do you determine her SMV from the guy's status?
Yes. So I think that you can kind of, in this framework, determine a woman's sexual marketplace value by the normalized sexual marketplace value of the men who are willing to get into a relationship with her, and you can determine a man's male sexual marketplace value by the normalized sexual marketplace value of the women he is able to sleep with.
Okay, what if she's gay? How do you determine her SMV?
I don't know. I guess you could do it. I think most of these concepts apply also to gay relationships.
But I don't know if lesbians are hypergamous.
They are really big on commitment. There's an old joke about what does a lesbian bring to a second date, and it's a trailer because she's moving in. So there's takes all kinds, but there is my understanding, a big bent in lesbian relationships towards commitment.
Okay. I just feel like in high schools and colleges, like people kind of date people at their school. They're probably like in a similar income range. Sure. So I don't know how you would determine like the SMV of like a college sophomore is dating another college sophomore who are both kind of an equal amount of college debt. And you wouldn't say she has low SMV because she's dating a guy in debt and not getting scooped up by a millionaire, right? So doesn't that kind of make your definition of SMV kind of irrelevant to most dating instances?
No, because I think it's based on the context in which you exist. So we can say that people might have a normalized sexual marketplace value for the culture at large, but maybe the culture and the context that matters most to you is your campus. Or maybe it's even just like the people in your homeroom class. Like there's all kinds of hierarchies within social systems as soon as more than two people start to relate to each other.
Okay, so then you would then judge it based off like, okay, is that guy an athlete? Is he like doing well, or like what would be
in high school?
metrics?
Yeah, that's the stereotypical one. It's like who is the big man on campus is the quarterback, right?
Sure.
Now, does this guy can he compete with somebody who's 35, makes $1 million a year? Well, it just depends on what the woman is looking for. You know, she might be so involved in that context that she will actually choose the quarterback over somebody who makes, hundreds of $1,000s a year. Mm-hmm. I think it really depends on the context.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And one more thing, and I think this is why this is great advice for guys, especially maybe the shorter kings out there, 5'7", is find a context in which you can shine. Like you can be a contextual alpha. I know you might not love that term, but you can definitely have a higher sexual marketplace value in certain contexts versus others.
That's a big-ass lecture. Women hear these ideas all the time, but they only care about the delivery, not about the ideas per se. The marketing part is oftentimes way more important than the product. Let's check some comments. I like this guy. The only thing these girls, and many girls, need to realize is that he was talking about what a singular person may or may not like, whereas Brian and other podcasts like this are talking about more of a general thing. My dad always went crazy over the tall blondes. I prefer the smaller brunettes. But we both agree on when a woman isn't attractive. The sad thing is, the way this guy explains things, these girls won't really take much away from it because he says it in a nice way. If you talk to a girl about a touchy subject, they will always try to speak nicely in terms of direct. Therefore, they latch onto the nicer thing and ignore the main contact/point. My girlfriend and I were talking about something today and she kept trying to make it nice and slightly change the point. I had to keep correcting her to keep her on course, but being very direct and straightforward. Then she agreed. I noticed that when she talks with her sisters and mom, they may have a disagreement about something. Both sides make changes to the original point so they can talk nicely and then nothing gets fixed. I don't play those games. Nothing is more attractive than a good personality. That being said, they need to be hot. Mia Khalifa is a perfect example of someone who tries to act smart by utilizing certain words and abbreviations. So easy to see right through this false facade. If you want to observe it in real time, one way is to count the number of times someone uses filler words such as like, because that shows the lack of ability to put coherent thoughts into words. Also, who is this Asian trooper in every video? Yeah, I don't know. That psychologist is great, so let me take the liberty of showing his punchlines even more. On this occasion, he explains why women must earn affection. Most women get it easily just because they have a hot body, so no wonder why they never self-improve. Let's listen to him.
Let's go.
I'm with Tegan on this one.
Chad.
Well, I was much more romantic when I was younger, and I did a lot of things that I saw in the movies, and I did them with a great deal of sincerity. And it generally did not work out very well for me.
That's something 99.9% of men know for a fact. Disney and Hollywood just brainwash men into thinking that being romantic and dreamy is enough, but there's a whole lot going on. And I mean game, looks, and even understanding female nature.
And it didn't lead to the kind of reaction that I was hoping for. I think the reaction I tended to get was, "Oh yeah, that's very sweet," which several of you ladies expressed, but it certainly didn't lead to. It didn't lead to sex, and it didn't lead to a relationship. One of the things that I talk about is I call it the fundamental rule of attraction, which is that people want what they want, not what wants them. Okay, so there's another principle at play here, which is. See if you follow me on this one. It's not possible for two people to like each other exactly the same amount. Do you guys believe that that's true?
Yes. Do you believe that the man should want the woman more?
No. So let me talk a little bit more about this. So first of all, we're saying it's not possible for two people to like each other. So if that's true, then that means that there's always somebody in a relationship who likes the other person more, and there's always someone in a relationship who likes the other person less. I call this person the adorer and this person the adored. And they're actually like gender neutral. Like men could be here, men could be here, women could be here, women can be here. And when a person is pursuing, when they're showing interest, what they're doing is they're putting themselves in the position of the adorer. And the adorer is actually where everyone really wants to be, both men and women. I think that that's actually true. And that's because when you're in the position of the adorer, you get all of these feelings. You get to be with the one that you love. The thought of them makes your heart race. When they don't text, you're worried and you're anxious. When they do text, you're relieved. When you get to see them, you're really excited and you're into it. The person who adores gets to have the emotional experience. The adored doesn't. The adored has a much greater muted emotional experience because this person gets to be with the one that they love and this person gets to be loved by the one that they're with. And that's a very different experience. Now, there are pros and cons to each. It's not actually better to be the adored or the adorer, though people generally have preferences one for the other. But when a man comes out of the gate with buying flowers and going out of his way, it really does put him in a place of the adorer very early, and it creates a big gap in that attraction because the fact of the matter is that no one has like earned that yet. Yeah. And that's why it kind of comes off as untrustworthy. It's like because there's nothing that the woman has done yet to demonstrate that she's worthy of his affection. And so it comes off as, even though it's in this as just kind of like desirous of wanting to be liked, which isn't generally why we like people. We don't really like people who want to be liked. We don't respect people who want to be liked. And it's very hard for women to be attracted to men that they don't respect. And so by giving unearned gifts, it generally reduces a woman's respect for a man, which over time, they can think it's sweet, they can think it's cute, but these aren't serious contenders for a woman's affections.
I completely agree. I think kind of what you just said, like the woman hasn't really earned it yet. So if I just match with a guy off Hinge and he immediately brings me flowers without us even talking on the phone, I'm thinking he just wants to impress whoever's walking out that door. It has nothing to do with me. So like the most recent time a guy bought me flowers was on a first date. I found it cringe. On like the fourth date, he bought me like a Brita filter and a water bottle, and I thought that was super romantic because I told him I'm super dehydrated because I never have like drinking utensils, and that I found romantic. So it's not so much that women don't like gift giving, it's I think that they don't like impersonal gifts.
Well, what I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, what you really liked about that is that the guy was paying attention.
Exactly.
And it wasn't really that.
It wasn't based off this idea of a movie of like, oh, girl, flower. You know?
That's true. And it wasn't that you really wanted a Brita. Like you probably could buy a Brita for yourself. It's that somebody was listening to you and demonstrated that with a small gesture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in all, giving women free attention and gifts for no reason is bad. Just like men gotta earn their money and status, modern day women need to earn the affection of a man. Let's check some comments. I stopped being chivalrous years ago in 2017, when no slut shaming became a common phrase. Okay, I won't shame you for being a slut, but don't expect me to treat you like a lady. Simple math. Never reward a woman for doing nothing. Let her work for everything. I was the romantic guy when I first started dating. I was told by media that that is what women wanted. I never got anywhere with any woman acting that way. I switched to more of an I don't give a fuck attitude, and, looking back, it was easy to get what I wanted, whether sex or a relationship. Media is lying to you, man. My general rule is never reward a chick for just being a chick. Unless it's her birthday, don't get her anything, don't give compliments until she's earned it. That is one of my rules. Guys, thanks for checking out this video. Stay tuned for more daily content. Like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next video, guys. Till next time.